grow up?
So I am from Tēnā Toka Marae and Rāhui Marae. And my mother was born in Waipuru Bay. I was raised in Gisborne. My mother was born on the marae. She spoke fluent Māori till she was 7 years old. So she's had whenua and reo dislocation. I had whenua and whānau dislocation from moving from Gisborne to Auckland. So having those situations happen to people when you are shifted away from your whenua, you're shifted away from your whānau, you don't get to channel into your whenua anymore, your tūranga waiwai. And so when you become part of the urban drift, you have to go back home every year. Tūranganui Kiwa is my home. I go to a special place which I won't tell you because I don't want everyone going there. But, along the east coast, always go to Tiki Tiki, always take my son home. The goal is to create the systems and take them home. That's always the goal. How we go about that, it seems to be the struggle. We're dealing with basically the colonisation here, but we can't use that as an excuse or a crutch anymore. We have to create the kaupapa for ourselves and implement it ourselves by Māori, for Māori, because we can't expect other people, whether they be academics or the Crown, to create those solutions for us.
Awesome. Thinking about you when you were 17 or when you were younger in your mischief days.
Yeah.
What would you say to yourself now to someone that's 17? Like, what would you say to them in terms of to get to where you are today?
Yeah.
What does it take?
Okay, so this goes back to my models of practice and understanding and health. And because I was able to navigate myself out of a resistant space, I was able to create systems around it. So, Taukumekume is the pulling and throwing. So, roa moko Taukumekume, the child at the breast of Papatūānuku, roa moko Taukumekume, the volcano, pulling and throwing. And so that is something that my uncle Teina Pōhatu talks about a lot, but no one's really dug into it. And it is the resistance. Which way shall we go? It should be just as well known as aroha. So when we are in resistant Taukumekume, we need to accept resistant Taukumekume. So we then shift into acceptance of resistance. That's quite an easy thing to do because you need to position yourself. And then when you accept your own resistance, it creates all this space for the new to come in. If you continue to navigate in resistant Taukumekume, you've just got all this baggage over you. So as soon as you understand that you are resistant, you jump straight into acceptance of resistance. From that space, you then have to navigate to acceptance of Taukumekume. In between that space is where the struggle begins. You have to make goals and aims and decisions out of that resistance. If you don't create those goals and aims, somebody will come and do it for you, like myself when I got into trouble. Here are your options. Make up your mind, or this is what is going to happen. And I did have an epiphany, keeping in mind I came from a loving family with two parents and I had no problems as far as housing or food or clothing. And so on paper, I should have been the model child, but I wasn't. I was struggling. And so money doesn't count. Having a roof over your head doesn't count when you're struggling in resistance. Rich people struggle as well as poor people. And so when we make these goals, we will then come to acceptance of resistance. Within that space, we'll then shift into mahi ora. What is it that we're going to be doing to offer back to our community? By mahi ora and making a decision on what we're going to do, we're going to fulfill our life's purpose. Then we go into mana aki. And mana aki is to uplift other people. And by uplifting other people in our community, we can tap into Mauri ora, which is everybody's happy place.
That is awesome. That's really awesome.